What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word Flint?
The first thing that comes to mind is the Native American stone they use for, starting fires and things like that, which makes sense because, the town itself kind of is known for starting fires figuratively and literally.
Well, very true. It has it gotten better since we last spoke 12 years ago because it was with the Memoirs of a Murderer, and I remember just the visuals and everything coming out from then. It was like it looked very intense. Has it,
Wow.
is the town better now or is it about the same?
I would say it's improving in some areas for sure. We had that water crisis quite a while ago, and they've been working on that lately. But as far as better, I'm sure some people would say it's worse in some ways, and some people would say it's better. Me personally, I feel like I've just changed my whole mindset, so it's everything is better to me because it doesn't really get to me anymore, I guess.
That's a great perspective to have. And I saw the documentary on that water crisis and was actually thinking of you. Were you present for that time, or I suppose it was over a couple of years, right?
It's about 10. Yeah. So they drew that one out. So yeah. Yeah, I've been present for the whole thing. I so I don't feel the urge. Nothing has been coercing me to move to Australia, if that's what you're asking.
I'm gonna stay in Flint. I like
Yeah.
it, man. I like it a lot. Well, what part of you still lives in that 2014 Memoirs of a Murderer era, David? Is there much of you still relevant? Like, do you still connect with that era?
Oh yeah, of course. I kind of have to because everywhere I go in this town, I just see stories and people and places and things and have these memories and these other things like that. It doesn't haunt me or anything. It's a good thing. It's good. I mean, even right now, if I drive down the road, I know about 100 stories just from this place, from here to the next corner. So I connect with it every day. Yeah, I'm completely at peace with it. I don't, it doesn't, I don't know how to answer, I guess, in that way.
Well, do you think success has softened you any, David?
Um, I, I, some might say so, but I don't tend to think so. I try to measure myself, in the 3D world. I try to think about that and think, when I was in my 20s, I was, this type of person, and I'm in my 30s, so I'm thinking, have I got soft? But when I take the litmus test, it doesn't seem so. I'm stronger than I was then. I'm faster than I was then. I'm more skilled at whatever it is I'm doing. So softening, it doesn't really, that's not really, I don't think, objectively speaking, I don't think I've gotten any softer. But someone else might have a different opinion, I guess.
I don't think so at all. I was going to say, do you like you're talking about, you can drive down the road and it's still the same sort of Flint, but it seems to be improving. You haven't softened it all. But I wanted to know, like, if you weren't doing King 810, what do you think you'd be doing? You'd be
Everyone says that they would be in debt or in prison. So I try not to say those types of things because I don't think that was ever an option for me. I think this is what I was supposed to be doing. And also the answer is so generic that people are like, this saved my life. I would have been dead otherwise. But for my life, I really would have been. And before the band, I was in jail. So that's probably where I would be after the band as well. But that's not that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, thank goodness that's not happening, man. Do you ever
Yeah.
get tired of carrying the weight of it all again? I'm thinking like, like your career is kind of you've always had that over your shoulders. Do you ever get tired of carrying that weight?
No, I appreciate carrying things. I appreciate a good challenge. So just it ain't nothing. No. It's light, just lightweight.
That yeah, fantastic answer, man. I love that. And switching things up to the Rust Belt recordings, why did you choose to go the live route with those ones?
Just something different. We've never done it before.
Yeah.
That's usually the kind of pretext that we have for projects when we sit down and start brainstorming about a project. I had this vision for the project when I was in Egypt. I usually spend about a month, 4, 5, 6 weeks in Egypt every year, and I had this kind of vision of these three live records. It all came to me at once, sort of like a download. And then when I relayed it to the guys, they thought it was a pretty cool idea. And it was interesting because it's kind of novel. Not a lot of people, not a lot of people make live records, but definitely not a lot of people make live records in front of an audience
Mhm.
in a studio and definitely nobody on planet Earth makes live records in a studio in a couple hours with a live audience 3 times in one year. So maybe a challenge. So when you talk about carrying the weight, I'm asking for more weight is basically how we're operating.
Well, it would seem that way, and it really showcases your talent there by doing it and showing that you're not afraid to step up to the plate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of an exercise in creativity, I guess. Not that it was a challenge at all. It was actually a little bit too easy, and I feel like we could have done even more. But it keeps things interesting or new or novel, I guess. Like I said, when we make a project or when we think about making a project, we like to come up with some parameters or some type of, I don't know, outline or rules or like a theme or an idea or I don't know what to call it necessarily. And this one, it always has to be challenging. It always has to be unique and it has to be exciting or potentially stimulate it. Maybe it could fail also. There needs to be some type of factor where you don't necessarily know if you can do it because you've never done it. Maybe that's where the novel comes in. So that's
Oh,
part of deciding what we're going to do, really.
very interesting. So, what does the third installment hold that the first two don't, I guess?
The third one is a unplugged record. So it's all acoustics and I say unplugged, but the shit was plugged in, but it's acoustics and almost like the unplugged, the old MTV Unplugged series that we all know and love growing up on. That was the idea for the third one that kind of separates it from the previous two, which we have about 2 songs out from that so far. So it should be out around the time it'll be coming out just after we come to Australia.
Now, do we hear any of that on the Australian run?
We might not play that one because it's just so low key and
Yeah.
we have so many songs we haven't played. We've only done support slots over there, so we've we've only you played 6, 7 songs in a half hour, something like that. Now we have a little more times and we have 8 records, so we're trying to have a few things from each one, give a whole scope of things to just to catch everyone up.
Yeah, amazing. And I have to ask, like I grew up on new metal. Do you still consider new metal to be like a dirty word in the industry?
I never did. I
Yeah,
was maybe I'm just young enough, which I'm not young, but maybe I never took it that way. I remember the people that I liked as far as like System of a Down and some of the, if I remember correctly, Corn and stuff like that, not liking the term,
yeah.
but I didn't have a horse in the race really. These were the bands that I liked, and when we started making records, that's what our songs sounded like. So I never thought it was a bad thing. I thought it was cool, but maybe I was not cool. I wouldn't say I was cool as a kid, so maybe I was just the not cool dude running around thinking new metal was cool, but I
Yeah.
still do. And I think everyone actually is coming around and trying to emulate that stuff now. Poorly, but they're trying.
I think so. I very much think so. It's sort of that has seemed to have a bit of a resurgence where people like me have just been there the entire time. But man, I have to switch back up to when you were talking about being in Egypt a little bit earlier for what do you say, a month to 6 weeks? That I don't even think I knew that you did that. That must be just so inspiring being there. Like,
It is.
do you do that every year? Like, that's amazing to me.
Sometimes I miss like going, but I try to get out there. It's one of my favorite places, and I think it does inspire a lot. But any ancient site will be inspirational. You know, there's likely some ancient sites in Australia. None are popping to mind. There's definitely a few in New Zealand that come to mind, like Castle Hill and things like that. But any ancient site I think will do the trick. And we have some here, obviously, in America as well, and a little bit west of us, not necessarily in Michigan, but there's a couple good ones close by.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, David, because one of the things I was going to say to you is I don't look at you as being like a touristy type person. I don't look at David Gunn and think he's going to come out here and have pictures with koalas and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening. But what does come to mind when you think of Australia?
I think you're pretty dead on because when the bands pile in the vans to go help contribute to the koala's bacterial death by holding a bunch of van dudes one after another posing for photos, I never participate in that. I'd rather just be in the wild with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do like to travel and things like that, but I tend to not appreciate the tour, the whether it be the guided tour or we go take a cell phone picture of a monument or things like that. I'm more like just going and staying in the ancient sites. I don't stay in the nice hotels and take the Ubers or they don't even have Ubers over there. So yeah, I just like to get real experiences in real places. And I also um trying to just connecting with places, I guess, spending time in them and really sitting in them all day, sometimes for days, weeks, months, whatever it might be. Not necessarily doing bucket list stuff where you go to check things off a list to make yourself feel good. Not that that's okay. If that's what people want to do, but I'm not really interested in that. Sometimes I come home and realize I didn't take any pictures, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not really a bummer because I'll never look at them. So
Yeah, that's wild. Like to not take any pictures at all. Wow.
I try to remind myself. I'm trying to get better at that, but I don't really care. So it's kind of hard to get better at it.
Man, I love the honesty. Like, yeah, you're not going to be coming out here and, blowing smoke sort of thing, thinking, oh, you guys have got amazing beaches and wildlife and whatnot. Like, you just not famous at all.
I do appreciate that stuff. I just don't, I find that energy in highly populated places is more depleted than it is not. So I
Yeah.
guess I don't find, maybe it's a introverted kind of thing, but I don't really find inspiration or energy from places that are teeming with a bunch of people. So it's not necessarily the animals or the beach. I like the animals and the beach. I just don't like the crowds, I guess. I think they kill the essence of those types of things. I would much rather just be in the wild.
Yeah, oh man, I love that. And there'd be places here where you could get those things, but probably not onto us. So, it brings me to the question, what is the best thing that's happened or that you've enjoyed while being out here?
I was talking about this the other day, but the first time I came, the last time was awesome as well, but the first time was more like a vacation than it was playing because we were on Soundwave. So we would play one show and then have a week off and then play one show and have a week off, stuff like that. That was that was like a vacation with a bunch of your favorite bands that you got to watch every weekend. So it's really cool to spend the week there in town or whatever it might be. And then you play one time on the weekends. You get to watch every band you've ever heard of. And then you get another week to do nothing but just live.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
really come up with big to-do lists with big things to check off the list or anything. I like to keep the same routine and just live in these places, stay in these places and do what I normally would do and see what happens.
yeah, very, very cool. Like being from Michigan, you're probably not used to the extreme heat that we have out here as well. I remember when I saw you the first time, it was in Adelaide, and it was so, so hot. I'm like, these guys are probably melting because you had all the masks and whatever on at the time, like the bandanas and, and what.
Yeah. I remember it was very hot there, but I like the heat. It gets 100, I don't know what that is Celsius, but it gets 100 degrees here in the summer times. We get good summers, so I appreciate the heat. I prefer that. I prefer the desert climate more than and we're still gonna be wearing all the shit and all the masks, so it doesn't matter. That's just what you have to do.
Yeah, and it makes sense to like Egypt as well. So I don't even know what I'm talking about there, man.
No, you're good.
Yeah. No, I love Michigan. I've been there a couple of times and love it. I haven't been to Flint though, so like I'm
Where do you usually go?
well, I've got friends in Livonia, so I usually go there.
Okay,
And
that's pretty close by.
yeah, yeah, it's very close. So I've got to get there and check it out next time because just like everything from watching you guys. I'll wrap this up because I am aware of time, but like,
No, you're good.
do you have anything that you regret throughout the time when it comes to controversies or anything like that, David?
Not really. No.
Mm,
I'm not really. I know that the some things that we've done have affected us. I don't really like to say negatively from a different perspective. Maybe someone might think it was a negative way that it affected us, or that we could have been maybe more popular or more successful if we would have made a different choice. But I don't think about things like that. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and we make the choices we're supposed to make, and then we end up the places we're supposed to be. So, no, I've never thought, I've never thought that once that, oh, maybe I should have, which, from another perspective, someone might be like, yeah, you don't do any reflection, you don't learn from any mistakes, but I don't think about things like that. So, no.
yeah, yeah, a lot of people could take from that because I'm the exact opposite. I'm always like, oh, I shouldn't have said this, shouldn't have done that, but move forward, can't change it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to give everyone else the same grace, I guess. I know that I'm capable of doing X, Y, and Z. So when I'm dealing with other people, I say, maybe he's having a bad day.
Yeah, very much appreciate it. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you and cannot wait
Thanks, man.
to you guys heading out here next week. Got the list of dates right here. In Adelaide on Wednesday, March 4, Melbourne, March 5, Sydney, March 6, the 7th in Newcastle, and wrapping things up here in Brisbane on March 8th. David Gunn, follow
Mm,
and at DK Gunn. That's two
thanks.
N's on Instagram. Super appreciate you taking time out, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.